This is the twin motor setup inside of the EX40. So you're looking at 402 horsepower, 494 pound-feet of torque. Getting back up to highway speed in 3, 2, and 100. It's got really good performance overall. That was what, 5 seconds to get from 0 back up to highway speeds? 0 complaints here. The front end styling of the EX40 is fairly similar to the internal combustion version with some obvious differences. With this being the ultra trim level though, it has all of the available features and more. There are pixelated LED headlamps that look really, really good at night. Fog lamps down low in the front. There's also a forward sensing system and a front facing camera. So this car does have a full 360 view. And the 360 camera, the quality of it is surprisingly good inside of this ride. Styling wise, the fog lamps are wrapped in some black bezels. Right underneath the Volvo badge, there's also a nice glossy black highlight, and then more of a matte finish on the lower part of the bumper. Underneath the hood of the EX40, it's on hydraulics, which is fantastic. The hood sits up really high, and there's also some usable frunk space inside of the ride. It's not a ton of space, but it's available there, and there's this little partitioned area, and underneath that you're going to find a little inflator kit. So there's a little bit of tire sealant, so some goop, and then there's the actual air compressor as well, which is nice. And then the only thing you really have to worry about for the most part, maintenance wise, you've also got the option of filling up your wiper fluid along the left hand side. That's one nice thing about owning an electric, is that maintenance, you don't really have to do a ton of it, which is really cool. The Ultra trim has one extra feature that you're not going to find in the rest of the EX40 lineup, and that's an available heat pump. And what that's going to do is it's going to take extra heat from the battery and push it into the cabin. It's also going to optimize the battery temperature and overall performance. And then looking at the warranty inside the Volvo world, it's actually pretty solid. Basic and powertrain are 4 years, 80,000 kilometers or 50,000 miles, with the hybrid EV components getting bumped up to 8 years, 160,000 kilometer, 100,000 miles instead. I think that's pretty solid all around. This Volvo is in the sand dune exterior. And while the car itself looks sharp, the color is not my favorite by any stretch. I have gotten a few compliments on it from my neighbors though, but still, I don't think that's a reason that I would go for this color choice myself. You're gonna find the EX40 rear-wheel drive standard with the option of upgrading to a twin motor all-wheel drive setup instead. If you're in northern states or in Canada like me, where we get snow a couple months out of the year, you're gonna wanna go for the all-wheel drive setup, hands down. You're gonna find either 19 or 20-inch wheels inside of the EX40, and since this is the ultra trim level, you are looking at a 20-inch wheel. Charging for the EX40 is done just along the driver's side. It has support for level 1, level 2, and for level 3 DC supercharging. The EX40 does feature a 20-foot charge cable right from the factory, and one cool thing is that it's got support for both level 1 and for level 2. But the question of, do you even look at a level 2 charger at home or an additional mobile charge cord, is going to depend on you. Because if you're only driving 20 miles a day or 30 kilometers a day, you'd be more than okay just plugging in at home with a level 1 charge cable. You'd be charged up overnight. That's a non-issue. But if you're traveling 50, 60, 100 kilometers a day, or like 50 miles plus per day, you're absolutely going to want to look at a level 2 charge station at home, hands down. But the overall charge times are going to vary, because if you're just going level 1 charging from 0 to 100%, that's going to take you over 3 days to fully charge up. Versus level 2, if you do a 6 kilowatt charger at home, you're realistically charging in 12 to 14 hours, but it just depends on your overall power draw. Range inside of the vehicle is pretty solid. The single motor rear wheel drive is going to max out at 297 miles or 478 kilometers. But the twin motor is going to have 257 mile or 414 kilometer total range. So you won't get quite as far in the all-wheel drive model as you will in the rear-wheel drive model, but it still is pretty good range overall. You're going to find LED tail lamps and rear fog lamps inside of the EX40. And then technology-wise, there's the reverse park sensing system, a backup camera, and the rear wiper as well. You can technically tow inside of the EX40 too. It's maxing out at 2,000 pound towing capacity. If you are towing, that will cut down on your overall range though. And then getting into the trunk of the vehicle can be done a few different ways. So there's a button to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can utilize the key fob to do it. Just above the license plate, there's a button there that you can push. And one really cool thing is that it's also got the option for a foot-activated power liftgate. So all you're gonna do is just swipe your foot underneath. Up it goes. There is a sweet spot that you have to hit in order for that to happen. I like foot-activated power liftgates, but the only downside is that if the sensors are covered in snow, ice, or mud, it's not gonna open up. But there are a lot of other options available, as you heard earlier. There's a little cargo shield in the back here, so if you wanted to protect your valuables, you've got that flexibility. Removing it, incredibly easy. And then, inside of the cargo area, off to the left, there's just a little light. Along the right-hand side, there's a 12-volt power point, and then just a little first aid kit, just in case. I like that it's Velcro though, so you can kind of stick it to the sides or the back without it kind of flopping around. Lifting up in order to hold some bags, which is kind of neat. Then, the car does have a 20-foot charge cable that you're going to find right from the factory. One nice thing is that it does have support for both level 1, and then there's a tip for level 2. It's actually kind of neat because all you have to do, pop it out, you can choose whatever tip that you'd like to, and then you're just going to insert, twist, and it's installed back again. I actually really like the way that Volvo's done this. And it's also IP6K7 weather rated, which means that it can get wet. So you can charge up year round, snow, ice, rain, whatever the case may be. And that charge cable is going to be safe. And folding down the second row seats can be done from the trunk area. You can also do it from the second row if you don't need to get into the trunk. Doing it back here, all you're gonna do, if you can reach, there's a button along the top, you're gonna push. So it's a 60-40 bench, 40% on the driver's side, 60% on the passenger side. And it gives you a relatively flat fold. It's kind of cool. There's actually a ton of space inside of this ride when the seats are folded down. The measurements that you're looking at, specifically behind the first row, are going from right where the liftgate would close to just in behind the little armrest between the first row seats. So if the driver's seat, passenger seat were forwards or backwards, you'd lose or gain a little bit of extra space. The EX40 is not a large car by any stretch. You got 6 feet tall, towering over it. But getting inside, the first row, easy enough. Second row, equally as easy. There are no assist handles in the second row, but there are in the first. The side view mirrors inside of the EX40 are power folding with turn signals. It's also got a side mounted camera. There's intelligent access here, so you can also slide your hand in to unlock the doors. They're auto dimming, and it's got the blind spot monitoring system built right in. So as long as you've got the fob on you, you can push there in order to lock the door. Slide your hand in order to unlock. Get to that interior in a second, but along the door, you've got a little wood grain, and that follows through different parts of the dash. This one has the upgraded Harman Kardon audio system, driver seat memory, and then across the board, you'll find controls to your side view mirrors, window controls, and you can also lock out the rear doors and windows. There's a boatload of storage in here. You've got a switch in order to open up the trunk. These are the thermoplastic rubber trays you're gonna find from the factory. I recommend the trays over the carpeted mats because it's so much easier cleaning these things off. It's a little EX40 scuff plate, power adjustable seats, including lumbar support. And then this is a little bit of a mixed seat. So you've got cloth with a faux leather seat here instead. So those are gonna be your seat options. This seat, as much as I like the white interior, it shows dirt quite a little bit. Like I think this car has less than 2,000 kilometers on it right now. And dirt is already visible. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't go for these seats myself. Now, there's no traditional push button start inside of the electric versions of Volvo. So you just have to foot on the brake, switch yourself into drive or reverse, and then that is gonna start you up. But I love it. The screen itself is fantastic. It's got a full mapping cluster built in, so there's no head-up display, but the mapping cluster is incredibly useful. Steering wheel inside the ride is manual telescoping, but it's heated, so you can adjust your heated steering wheel on off this way. There's heated first row seats available here too. But if you want to walk through, like you want to know how to use the steering wheel buttons, navigate through the cluster or the infotainment, you'll find walkthroughs down in the description of this video. The 9-inch infotainment system here is feature packed. Now, there are some things that it's missing. So it's got support for Apple CarPlay, but it does not have support for Android Auto. This is a full Android device though. So through the Play Store, you'd be able to download most apps that you'd be able to find inside of regular Android devices anyways. So things like Angry Birds and things like that. So you'd be able to download a bunch of apps right to the screen if you really wanted to. You're going to find a full 360 camera available inside the ride, and you can even switch off to the sides if you'd like to see what's going on around you. There's the rear park sensing system, the forward park sensing system, and a boatload of other features. You've got all of your climate control settings, so those are all baked into the screen with some basics down here. There's a 12-volt power point, and I thought cigarette lighter, but it's blank. So you've at least got a 12-volt power point there, 2 USB Type-C with a wireless charge pad, a hand shifter, which it's small, but it actually feels pretty good in the hand. So you've got your park reverse neutral drive. There are cup holders here, a little armrest that's non-lockable. There's a pretty good amount of space there. So there's no dedicated sunglasses holder. So I've just got my sunglasses here. This is just for garbage. I had no idea. Someone pointed it out in one of my last videos. Such a useful little thing. Kind of cool. Along the side here, the glove box is non-lockable. Fairly deep storage there. You've got a little wood grain there, and that follows through the door. There is ambient light inside of the ride, and it's pretty subtle, but kind of cool at the same time. Overhead, there's an auto-dimming rearview mirror with a home link system. So if you've got a garage door opener at home, you can program it in. Overhead, you've got some basic controls for your cabin lights in SOS mode. And then there's also controls for the sunshade. Nice slow open there. And then you can also just do a tap if you wanted to have the roof partially open up, or full swipe in order to open it up. So single button swipe, single swipe I should say, opens it up most of the way. Secondary swipe is that last little bit. There's a little bug guard over top in the outside profile. It's kind of cool. You can tap if you want to. I just like the swiping motion. Pretty cool. From there, you've also got a little visor. It's got a ticket receipt holder on the inside there. Vanity mirror has lights built in. And then this does not stretch. It's going to block most of the sun that's going to be hitting your face, but not all of it. You've got a little assist handle along the driver and the passenger side in the first row. And then one neat thing is that you got this little guy. So if you've paid for parking, you can just kind of drop your ticket there, which is kind of neat. It's like a small subtle detail inside of the ride. One downside with no power button is that the second you open the door, the car technically turns off. So you have to brake and then shift again in order to turn it back on. But hopping into the second row of the EX40, you've got basics. So speaker there with some basic window controls and some door storage. Carpeted liner along the door there, similar to the first row. Little storage down low there. With the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, inside of the second row, I've got a good amount of knee space, foot space, and head space. It's a little tight. So 1.5 inches-ish of head space there. So it's not too bad. I can fit in the second row, which is nice. But the seats are also locked into place. So you can't slide them forward or backwards. There's no option to recline them either. So they're upright, they're there. Comfort-wise, it's actually not too bad. Fitting 3 full-size adults that are my size back here would be super tight, just because there's this big hump in the middle. So to do it, it's just going to be super uncomfortable to sit there. Not impossible, but like I said, it's just tight. And then sitting here, my head is like just scraping along the top, and the seat in the middle is not comfortable by any stretch. So I'm not drawing that short straw, or hopefully I don't draw it, I should say. You've got all of your necessary anchor points there, tether points behind the seats. There's also cup holders built into the seats there. And then through the back. You could also lower this if you wanted to push skis through the back as well. Kind of neat. There are pockets behind both the passenger and the driver's side. Mesh pockets, basic controls for your vents. Down low, there are some power points. There are 2 USB Type-C power points there, along with some buttons for heated outboard seats. So the middle seat is never going to be heated. Overhead, you've got basic lights, so light control. There's no traditional hook there, so you'd essentially just have to insert a hanger, twist, in order to be able to hang that up. And that's the same on the driver and on the passenger side. There are no assist handles this way, unfortunately, but I mean, really? Getting in and out of the ride, it's not tricky by any stretch, but the car here is plenty spacious. I like that there's driver's seat memory here. And like even, yeah, so with the seat right now, it's down as far as it's gonna go. And in the first row, I've got, what's that, 3-ish inches of headspace. So not a ton of space, but you can easily recline the seat in order to be able to set it up for you. So I'd say realistically, like 6'4", 6'5", you'll probably comfortably be able to sit inside of the first row of the EX40. Volvo cars all around just have like a touch of refinement to them. They handle well, they're quiet, they're responsive. So there are no complaints from that perspective. I do like how Volvo seats for the first row have slidable leg cushions so you can make it a little bit more comfortable based off of your height. And then the handling en route, it's solid. It's got great performance overall. There isn't really a ton of cabin noise inside of the EX40. And there's a little bit. I mean, you're driving a car, I'm going highway speeds right now, so it'll be a little bit noisier, but it's fairly quiet all around. I would like to see some kind of a hands-free driving system inside of Volvo cars. So I know a lot of other manufacturers have it. Ford has their Blue Cruise system. GM has their Super Cruise, which is full hands-free driving on highways and interstates. The Volvo world does have Pro Pilot Assist, and then you're looking at a lane centering system as well. So it's got adaptive cruise control as part of that Pro Pilot Assist. With lane centering, it's not hands-free driving because, I mean, you can take your hands off the steering wheel for a bit, and after about 10 seconds or so, you're gonna get a message inside of the cluster screen letting you know that your hands have to, you've got to hold the steering wheel. So it comes on after about 10 seconds or so, but that would be one nice thing to see. The handling that you get inside of the Volvo. Like, that is solid. It is so good. The handling is phenomenal. And looking at the overall turning radius here, so let's do a little 180. That's great. That's great. And then, because it's an electric, back up to speed. Oh. Overall, I would say that the EX40 is a pretty solid ride. It's well built, the interior is quiet. I like the way that it handles, the way that it rides is solid. There are a few small things though that I would like to see changed. I'd like Android Auto to be inside of the infotainment screen. AM should definitely be there as a default. So should support for USB audio standard. You shouldn't have to download additional apps to get those features. And then, if you're contemplating the ultra trim level, I would like to see Volvo lower the price, because at the same price point, you could go for the Mustang Mach-E GT with the performance pack, or the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, which are going to blow the performance of the EX40 out of the water. But if you don't care about the extra performance, the added touch of class in the Volvo might make sense for you. But down in the description of the video, you can find a build link for this specific EX40, links off to Volvo Canada, US, and then all of the tech walkthrough videos too. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care.